today's matchup. KSV. Afreeca Freecs. Beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to dive into our marquee matchup here, the one that we've been waiting for. Fortunately, the first series went to 3 games, just delayed it longer and longer, but now we're here. It's KSV versus the Afreeca Freecs. Already mentioned before we signed off for the break, Afreeca never really know what to expect from these guys. They've tried changing out some of the roster. We saw aiming. Don't think that's going to happen here today, but TusiN, especially in the bottom lane, he's always been a bit of a maniacal genius coming up with random picks. I think they might need that if they want to take a game away from KSV, because so far they have been stomping everybody.
I think we should leave the game analysis for the game, though, because what a sick intro we saw from OGN, debuting it for the man who is #2 all-time in deaths. That is Ambition, who was the main character of that particular anime we saw in the intro. Great stuff there, celebrating world champion Ambition, but also the LCK champion, Gorilla and Prey, front and center in that. So most deaths of all time, predictably, goes to a support. But Ambition, who has been known for his solo missions, for giving up first blood, even in victories for his team, CJ Entus Blaze, many years ago. Ambition and Deaths, a very famous duo. Right now, Ambition and Victory, and KSV and Victory. Big roar when Ambition came through. Big roar from the KSV fans when they see that their team has taken it to another level. They have been comfortably the best team we have seen so far in LCK Spring in a canter. There's been no competition, and if they can take down Afreeca Freecs 2-0 in the same manner, they are looking ominous. Achilles.
I mean, they would have to be the clear-cut pick for that first-place finish at the end of the spring split. Obviously, things can evolve. We will have
really? You're saying SK Telecom T1 won't be 9th?
You know, yeah, I have to kind of assume that probably won't happen. But KSV at first place seems to be one of the only surefire bets you might be able to put your money on, because they are the only team that we have coming out with 2 match victories, not dropping a single game, and a lot of it has to do with those 3 guys right there on your screen: CuVee, Ambition, and Crown. Not to sell Ruler and CoreJJ short, but these guys have been having a fantastic split thus far.
And they've never messed with the lineup. It's been the World Championship lineup every game, and they only look better. Ambition is one of the highest solo queue players active in pro play right now in Korea, top 100 for the first time in a while, playing Sejuani every game and 13-minute Trinity Forces and all sorts of crazy things going on. That's solo queue, but competitive play has been so straightforward for KSV. They've been on a different level, like I've said. CuVee smiling on your screen hasn't really been punished. I would say this team hasn't really been run close. Even Kingzone had not a chance in hell against KSV. But Afreeca Freecs on their day can beat anyone. Will that day be today? We have to wait another couple of hours to find out.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it is a couple of hours. Maybe it's a very short series. You never really know what's going to happen with these 2 teams in the mix. But it's the roster that you would expect. Spirit out of the jungle. Kramer as well, starting AD. Not going to be seeing aiming, I would guess, throughout this entire series, unless Kramer really happens to mess up. But these guys, TusiN especially, as the support, he's shown us some wild stuff. We've seen the Camille support from him, amongst other things. And a wildcard pick like that to offset KSV, that might be what is needed in order to find victory, at least get an edge in this game, because otherwise KSV has been so dominant in their 2 showings so far. 2-0 versus Kingzone, 2-0 versus Gnar Green Wings. And, I mean, Afreeca, they were able to pick up that win versus KT, but not really that competitive against Kingzone as well.
I mean, you have to watch the KSV games to really appreciate how dominant they've been, because their game times haven't necessarily been the 26-minute stomps of yesteryear, but the amount of time, the percentage of time they've been in control has been outrageous. As CoreJJ sitting on a casual 12.3 KDA. His KDA is so big, it's overlapping the team KDA of Afreeca.
He has swallowed it, and it makes sense because his KD is significantly higher than that. A 12.3 at the support role. I mean, everybody on KSV just absolutely crushing their opponents on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. I mean, what is going to be the game strategy really here for Afreeca coming into this match? How do you mentally prepare yourself for this, Papa?
I mean, the mental preparation is difficult. Afreeca Freecs have a lot of veterans, so I'm going to give them credit and say they're not going to be old, because they won't be. These players have all played against some configuration of the old Samsung Galaxy, now KSV lineup before. There's a couple of specific things I want to talk about, but we'll talk about that as the game starts to develop. I'm hoping it's a long series. I'm hoping that Afreeca can be the first team to inflict even a scratch on KSV, let alone actually draw blood. Looking at the history, KSV have never really performed in Korea. Remember, one of the great storylines of 2018 is that KSV, previously Samsung Galaxy, under that banner since 2015, have never won in Korea. They've never even won a playoff series in Korea, but they are your world champions. They are playing dominantly in 2018. They were able to knock out the Afreeca Freecs, and they only just got over the line. That was the crazy series with Relic Shields, with Jungle Lulu, with all other crazy things. There can definitely be innovation between these two teams. But if you ask me how to beat KSV today, I will tell you, Kaklios, I don't know.
All right, well, they've got a good record going up against Afreeca Freecs here since the start of summer last year. And they want to carry that forward. They want to maintain the dominance that they've already established, especially as we have already seen the hiccups that KT and SKT have been having. This really does give them that sole possession of that top spot, and they want to maintain it. Key position here is going to be the top lane. Kiin, this rookie player we saw on Everate coming in, he's had a very good start versus KT.
It's kind of a surreal thing where against KT, walked up to Smeb, one of the best top laners in the world, asserted himself very well. Wasn't necessarily the reason they won, but certainly was one of the reasons. And then he got obliterated by Khan. Just obliterated. Didn't look in his league, which, given that Khan and Smeb have taken it tete-a-tete many times, now he faces CuVee. He's getting, really, the hardest run of top laners you could ever get. This is 3 best top laners in Korea, back to back to back. And if he can pass against CuVee, who by the end of Worlds was looking like one of the best top laners in Korea for sure, given that he's been up and down, he was in great form, he started the season in great form. Kiin is just hoping we can get through this one and move on to some of the less premier top laners. He's had a rough time.
I mean, it's a trial by fire for sure for him. But after this, it gets so much easier, I promise you, my friend. It'll only get easier from here. CuVee going to be just about the final boss that he really has to go through.
You know what the crazy thing is? In those games, there's a lot of repeat champions. We've only seen 2 champions from multiple members on the side of KSV. They haven't had to show much. We know what they're good at. Guess what? Ruler's probably going to try to play Varus in this series. Malzahar and Ryze for Crown. Every team knows that. A team like Afreeca would have studied the VODs of KSV, but there really aren't weaknesses to exploit. And remember, Afreeca actually played 2 days ago. It's been a nice long break for KSV. They've been watching on, seeing Afreeca make their share of mistakes in their last series against Kingzone. A lot of advantages here, and even though Afreeca do have fans, you have to think KSV are going to be dominant. And 81% of people say it's going to be a KSV win.
I gotta say, it's slightly higher than I was expecting for Afreeca. I thought this would be more of a 90-10% split, but KSV there still with the overwhelming majority. And I mean, you can also tell by looking at the arena, their side is packed right now. It is a bit lackluster in the first series, as you might expect. Colton Doom Monster and Current Rocks Tigers don't bring in too many fans, especially on such a cold day. But with KSV and Afreeca Freecs, two of our top teams at the moment in the league, the fan bases have gotten, nothing but larger for these guys after last season, and the fans have shown up to show their support.
But still, I feel like KSV can grow. There are people that don't know they're a Samsung Galaxy after the recent name change, and there has been announcements.
There's plenty of people asking that in chat all the time.
Their owner, Kevin Chu, saying they will once again officially rename for summer season. They will be KSV for spring season. They are world champions, but they have not been champions in Korea, and Koreans love to see winners. They didn't watched on TV, sure, but they haven't seen them pick up an LCK title. They're still growing to be done. What is a healthy fan base for KSV? Afreeca have a lot of stars. They may have lost Marin, but Kiin has had a good start and does have that same killer instinct. Can he replicate that against KSV? Will KSV continue to be our yardstick, or will we see them bleed in this series? These are the questions I don't have exact answers to. Coach is getting to the booth, so hopefully we'll get started soon.
Yeah, did have a slight bit of a delay. We were getting everything set up, but with the coaches in the booth, seems like we should be ready to go ahead and jump into the pick and ban. KSV starting things off over onto that blue side. And this is one where those ADC bans are going to be very, very important. Kramer versus Ruler, the likes of the Ezreal and the Kalista. Be very shocking to see them make it through.
How does Afreeca approach this on the red side? Will it be 3 AD carry bans, giving up Ryze first pick, and then Crown doing his thing? We know KSV plays around side lane pressure fantastically. Right now, the meta, if you want to blind pick in Korea, would include Ryze in the mid lane, Gnar in the top lane, and pushing out and rotating and taking objectives bloodlessly. That's what KSV want to do, and that's what needs to be denied by Afreeca Freecs in the draft. That will mean certain AD carries will become available. Already a Sejuani ban against Ambition. If you look at Ambition's solo queue, in the last 7 days, 19 games on Sejuani, 13-6, top 100 in solo queue. He's in form. The Sejuani, a power pick, especially for Ambition. And I like that Afreeca feels like they're listening in because they're saying, hey, we know where you're strong, and the Ryze will not be left open for Crown.
Of course, the Cogmal taken away. Kramer, one of the few ADCs that we've seen from him so far, alongside the Caitlyn and the Varus. So Varus likely going to be a highly contested pick between these two. If it does get taken away, we can see him fall back onto that. We've seen a lot of ADCs this season so far, Papa Smithy, because we've seen them all banned away, but we've also seen some left open. And last ban here in the first round for KSV, going to be the Jace.
One first pick Gnar, please, says KSV, as CuVee would love to lock in the champion he brought back into the meta in Korea. His off-meta builds and also his bringing it back against Renekton and the other dominant picks of summer. What led to a Gnar meta, and Afreeca target banned both the champions Crown has played to success this season, Ryze and Malzahar. Straightforward control mages. Maybe Afreeca going to be returning to the Azir that we know is up and down for Kuro. First pick Gnar, very possible, but Kalista and Ezreal both left open as well. Braum also for KSV is super high priority, but in spite of all of this, they also are happy for Kiin to take a matchup into the Gangplank, which is definitely playing with fire.
That it is. We'll see what Afreeca wants to go for, but they get their pick of the litter as far as the Ezreal and Kalista are concerned.
You might say, why, Achilles? Why take Gangplank when, you know, could be the Gnar coming in here, could be a lot of power on the side of Afreeca. Spirit says maybe I'll jungle Ezreal. Reason why you do it is, what are KSV good at? Using champions like Ryze and also the Gnar to take turrets, take bloodless objectives. And with Gangplank, you often trade up in terms of objectives because you cannon barrage the minion wave on one side and get objectives on the top side. So the reason they've taken it here is for the global. They use globals, they use map control better than any other team in the league currently. So they'll take Gangplank and accept the Gnar matchup. That's no fun for the GP.
Well, then Ezreal going to go straight over to Ruler, something he'll be more than comfortable with. And Crown is going to be the one taking the Azir. So not going to let Kuro take his 50-50 chance of having a good game. We'll just go ahead and pick that one up for himself.
We know it's actually a 30-70 chance, but Kuro would tell you it's 50-50 every time.
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt here, going off of the 2018 season only.
Crown's never been a huge Azir main, I would say. Yeah. He's played a lot of Azir if you look at his career profile, but it's never been the Victor. It's never been the Ryze that kind of dominate his history. And okay, we get a Zoe.
Oh, all right. Finally.
This is fun. We see almost no Zoe in Korea, which to our NA, EU, and global viewers would be blasphemy. But the reason that I've been told and what we've observed is that because the play in Korea is so focused around rotational side lanes, a true mid lane champion is deprioritized, and Zoe largely, unless she's snowballing, is going to be, you know, traditional pick up the blue buff, hit the mid lane, doesn't take teleport and side lane compared to other meta mid laners right now, and that means Zoe's been deprioritized. Let's see if Kuro can make us a believer, because we know one thing about Kuro. Whenever he plays a new champion, he either crushes with it or gets crushed. There's no middle ground. Kuro is either a master of a champion or it is not in his wheelhouse.
Going up against Crown, it's a really rough time for him. Given that track record, they're trying to go for something new. Final bans to round out will be the Kazakhs from the side of KSV, waiting on their last one now. Zach and J4 from Afreeca, so a lot of jungle focus coming out here in the second half.
Wanted to push Ambition off of his Ultra Comfort so far this season. Sejuani certainly has been there. The Rengar's been another big pick for him, though, so I think Rengar might actually be pretty heavily contested. See Ambition laughing a bit. Shyvana from Spirit was one of the best Shyvanas we've seen so far in the LCK. Saw other junglers like Wolf not be able to emulate Spirit's performance. I think Spirit might actually be the MVP here, the most important member for Afreeca to get over the line. When it comes to the draft, they're looking for jungle and also the support. And speaking of jungle, maybe it's going to be Spirit going towards the Nidalee. It's been experimented with by a lot of junglers to mixed success, often losses here in Korea, but Spirit is one of those classic Nidalee players. He's been a Nidalee main for as long as time. He will be taking the Nidalee and saying, what tank jungler do you want me to battle ward if you're Ambition?
Nidalee has had a lot of mixed success here, so a big gamble for Afreeca to go for that one. In the meantime, KSV going to be locking in the Tahm Kench, just that added bit of protection there for the Ezreal. Already quite slippery with the Arcane Shift and potential Iceborne Gauntlet to come through, but now has CoreJJ there with the Tahm Kench to back him up even further.
Ambition looks tilted. He's like, wait, where are my champions at? They've all been banned or taken away, no. Ambition, what you gonna play? The Rengar is the only one left open. Rengar into Nidalee is not a happy matchup for the Rengar, because Nidalee gets the drop on him. Getting to 6 can actually be difficult, because he finds it difficult to go for those skirmishes unless he gets pretty significant help. He's already going to have Gangplank pushed in. The Azir versus Zoe matchup can swing. There's no guarantees in the laning phase to guarantee Rengar a farming phase to level 6, so we're going to have to see the crafty veteran wiles of Ambition if he's to make Rengar work in this scenario.
Well, Thresh going to be here as well, so the classic duo. Oh no, actually the flip to the Braum right at the last second there. As I write it down in my papers, so Braum going to be coming through, so as you've been touting, probably the biggest meta support that we do have here in Korea. Braum will get picked up. Extra protection for everyone to hide behind, and a pretty decent option for the Fates Call. Throw him in, get the knock-up straight into a further one from the Glacial Fissure, so plenty of combo potential here with the Kalista.
Snowball draft from Afreeca. Very, very, very strong siege, but also 2-item power spike team fighting with the Kalista as well. In the early to mid game, you have to say advantage Afreeca in most every way. And KSV has heard that multiple times this season. They've already played against Peanuts Nidalee, for example. Peanuts Lee Sin as well. They're going to try the slow and steady approach that you always get with KSV. We have seen no Rengar ultimates for 17 minutes, if necessary, by Ambition. They will try to pick their spot, but Afreeca Freecs have the tools to punish scaling, to punish the more passivity that KSV innately brings. Let's see if Spirit can fire on the same cylinders as his teammates, where the Kiin can go even against world champion CuVee, and also the unknown factor, the wild card in Korea, because we have seen such precious little Zoe. We don't see Faker Zoe, we do see Kuro Zoe, and it's either going to hit big or not, Achilles, and I'm so excited to find out which.
We've seen it banned away from the likes of Edge in our last series and his previous ones. At that, Kuro finally gets his hands on it, going up against Azir's Crown. So two more oddball picks from both of these star mid laners. Let's see who's going to come out on top as we go ahead and load up for game number 1, KSV versus Afreeca. All right, well, plenty of cheers here for both sides, as we have the majority of this audience filled up. And there's going to be a pause right out the gate, so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer before we can get super hyped.
Oh, I was so excited to get into it. We're going to be slowed down. Uh-oh, I've got words from our translator.
No!
The dreaded sound issue has come back. Now, we don't know if it's airborne yet. We don't know if it's isolated. We also don't know who Patient Zero is.
It looks like it might be Spirit.
Wait and see. It's definitely in the Afreeca booth, unless our cameraman is trolling us.
Just having a laugh of it, but no, seems like it might be Spirit here with the issue.
What is it with the audio these days?
I don't know.
We need to recable that audio. I don't know what's going on.
It's that, or maybe they need to update the program. Not sure which exactly it is.
This is definitely where all the headset sponsors wish the players would just cover up and be like, yeah, generic headset is posing an issue.
Yeah. But unfortunately, they're out there. Seems like we got it taken care of rather quickly, though. We're being told by Joel that the headset issue is resolved. HyperX can breathe a sigh of relief.
Razor also. Going to be equal opportunity with our backhanded flame. Hopefully we're getting back into game. Some of the players warming up their hands. They need to be warm. The Nidalee hands especially, we saw from Spirit, need to be on point because battle warding against Ambition. How many junglers in the last year have gotten invading, taken camps from Ambition, but then actually stuck the lead and won the game? I would say not that many, Achilles. He's used to taking a lot of pain in the early game as a mid laner and as a jungler. But Spirit is one of these legacy Nidalees that I always want to see if they will reimagine the limits of a champion who can be so flexible. We'll see how it handles on the Rift. Finally, 1 minute into Afreeca versus KSV Game 1.
Looks like I'm just going to see Spirit go ahead and drift his way over towards that blue side. Start up at the buff. Get a nice little leash from the likes of Kramer and TusiN.
Very strong level 1 from Afreeca. Braum especially, but even Zoe can do some tricky things. So smartly KSV is like, well, we'd love to know which side Nidalee is starting on, but only things like leash and time coming to lane is really going to tell us about that.
I've had very limited exposure to Zoe. She's usually banned out in solo queue. So seeing her, 100-0 somebody, it's not something that I get to see too frequently, and maybe be treated that to here.
From ahead, just unbelievably strong. Sort of thing that reminds you of all the other broken champions in the history. Released LeBlanc, that was hot fixed hours in. Xin Zhao jungle on first release. Things that just don't happen. But from behind can also be dealt with. A lot of gap close from KSV to try to explode her in the mid to late game. So no guarantees we will see the pop-off here from the Zoe. But a treat to see her nonetheless.
The fact that her burst in this day and age can kind of contest with the Death by Aggress Veigar builds, the LeBlancs from times long since past, it's pretty absurd.
I mean, honestly, to me, a lot of people have different things about Zoe they don't like. The RNG of the W, the fact that you can get teleport, I understand that. The burst from a pick, Trouble Bubble into Q, I can understand that. The one to me that sticks out is the wave clear from 3 points in Q of the backline. Backline wave clear has always been one of the most prioritized and important things in League of Legends, and giving a character that roams well early wave clear at max range, with some counterplay, but still early wave clear is always something that I think is a bit of an offender. So to me, it's the damage to minions that I'm not a fan of. Here's some damage.
There you go. Crown suddenly chunked down to about half HP, but he answers back. Double Sand Soldier getting some damage there onto Kuro. Have to be very mindful of those pesky, sleepy Trouble Bubbles.
And very mindful of the Nidalee after we get through the early clear.
That too.
Once you're sure that the Nidalee is not clearing jungle camps, around 3.5, 4 minutes into the game, walking up and WQing the Zoe gets a lot more risky.
I mean, falling asleep into a Paddle Star with a spear on top, you probably just say goodnight permanently. You
do have Cleanse here from Crown, and ult potentially to deal with the Nidalee. Can cancel the Nidalee pounce damage and Q damage that way, but I take your point. Turns out Cleanse is a bit longer cooldown than the Trouble Bubble.
Only slightly, a couple seconds off.
I mean, look at the runes. Pretty standard across the Rift. Lethal Tempo again on Kalista, so we often have this in Korea where 1 week people will just decide this is the best, and no longer is it fleet footwork. People are getting a little bit more risky in the laning phase.
We have our trendsetters.
You go double lifesteal, so in the late game, not having the crit scaling on healing for the Kalista is not as big a deal because you can just go Bloodthirster and also into, say, Mercurial Scimitar, and certainly Blade of the Ruin King. So the late game healing is not as relevant. It's going for the late game Lethal Tempo for just insane Renset plays.
Kramer's always been one of our more inventive ones, so perhaps this is something that he kind of set up in solo queue, and people have been adopting it ever since.
Well, he's the one that famously came up with the Relic Shield AD carry.
Yep.
That ruined a whole world championship. So Ardent Sensor Rush was also their thing. Ardent Sensor was popular at the time, but Relic Shield into Ardent Sensor started in Korea.
I forget, was he Ninja Tabby ADC or was that Bang? I think it was Bang.
I think it was Bang, actually, on that one.
Kramer's come up with way weirder stuff. So.
Yeah, we always talk about the Wits End Lucian that thankfully stayed in the past.
Yeah. That one didn't really catch on.
No.
Nobody else wanted to adopt that. I think everybody else kind of sussed out that that was not a great idea.
So Ambition has power farm to level 5, equal in camps to the Nidalee. That part at this point is just fine for Ambition. See if he's actually proactive. Again, his first ults have been very, very late, often in the 10+ minute mark on the Rengar. Largely just there for counter ganks at the moment, just walking around and being present to take both a Scuttle Crab and just try to provide a bit of safety. You'll notice in the top lane, it's a very defensive start by Kiin, going for the ninja target. You'd expect at some point, but has come early. Does mean that he's being very respectful of CuVee, and every time you see a Gangplank less than 10 CS behind an enemy, you know that the Gangplank's having a happy time.
Can't really blame him for respecting CuVee.
So the way that Afreeca Freecs win this game, because to me it's not the 5v5, there's still 5v5s they could win, but when you see Zoe Nidalee, you kind of know what's going on. It's a lot about controlling vision, and then the moment you start walking through a narrow choke, let's say, for example, trying to counter-ward Baron or Dragon, Trouble Bubble, max range spear, death is basically what's going on here from the Afreeca Freecs. They do have very good objective secure and objective damage between the Kalista. A line there is the Trouble Bubble.
Yep. Gonna go ahead and fall asleep underneath the turret. Not a whole lot of damage to be followed up there as Kuro already used the paddle star to clear out the back wave, as you were talking about.
So to me, Afreeca, 20 to 25 minutes, control wards around Baron, the Braum and Gnar to tank it up, Kalista, Ren secure, and then hey, if you start face checking, you're gonna die to the paddle star and spear combination. That's how they want to play it out, and a standard KSV story for them. Pull it out late, trade on your excellent ward in CoreJJ and Mada, probably the two best at vision control in the world, and from there, just try to close it out in the 5v5 is what we expect from KSV.
It's a very easy blue buff pickup there. Kuro going to be spamming out the spells even more frequently. They're just going to go ahead, pop up, grab some of this fruit. Make sure that he's nice and topped up as he continues to lane decently well against Kiin. Still, yet again, not too far behind. 12 CS at the moment with the wave pushing in underneath the turret.
Otherwise, a passive early game to advantage KSV there. They actually have a gold lead thanks to Kleptomancy. No other thing, of course. That's basically the Kleptomancy lead. Hooray. Reminds me of old Twist of Fate passive many moons ago when it gave +2 gold on every CS on your team.
Give you quite a bit now. CuVee getting jumped on here. He's using that ultimate, pushing him back. Does chunk him out quite a bit. And there's no more charges left on that Corrupting Potion, but you can see Ambition is making his way up, and there's still no River Ward here. Ambition wrapping around the back, kind of looking for the lockdown here, but the bullet goes wide, both of them. Not going to find the connections there. He's going to be fine, but he does have to pop the flash.
So why? Why did Ambition ult? His laner didn't respond. Why is he doing it? The answer is he wanted to buy space for CuVee to farm. He didn't have teleport up, so he wanted to get a bit of chip damage onto Kiin. He was going to go to blue buff anyway. That was just purely Ambition saying, I'm not going to get anywhere on the map to gank. I'm not going to gank Zoe. I'm not ganking bot lane. It's Ezreal and Tahm Kench in my lane. I just want to buy lane tempo for my top laner. What I want to ask the viewers to do is just watch what side Ambition is on and watch what side KSV is playing around, because they're so good at doing that, and it's a skill that very few teams in the world have perfected. But it feels like KSV always know where they're strong and where they're weak. CuVee happy to walk up. Farm under turret. But now he is definitely not the aggressor. He's the one being aggressed on. But as time goes on, that will change.
Little jump. Bubble not going to connect. Kuro stopping the back there for Crown, so just buying himself a little bit more time, and so far it's been pretty neck and neck as far as the CS is concerned between both these mid laners.
Good advance wards from Afreeca. Pick wards, if you think about it. Wards over walls, where if Zoe is there, Trouble Bubble will certainly be able to do things. They saw Ambition on the top side and responded with vision, which is good to see.
They're now wrapping around the back, maybe looking for a play onto Crown, who is just now rejoining into the mid lane. His turret has suffered quite a bit of damage already. Only half HP. You can see Spirit just making his way around, just kind of putting that square, that rectangle of wards going through the jungle into the river. Spirit now waits for the wings. If you trouble coming through, he's going to try to jump away. Javelin comes through, takes so much damage. Crown still not popping the flash, not popping the cleanse.
Well, he curved that trouble bubble that time.
Oh,
again.
there's going to be another one. Javelin coming through, barely misses. This Crown is just desperately trying to hang on here. Sleep going through. Catches the minion instead, and now Ambition, he's trying to stick around, but he is still under siege.
He got hit by the AoE, and this siege comp engaged by the side of Afreeca's working a treat. It almost got the mid lane turret down so early, they draw out the Gangplank ultimate. Now Gangplank is vulnerable on the top side. The Tahm Kench has to walk over. It's a team effort for KSV to keep up Azir's turret. Remember, this is Azir, champion with insane wave clear, but curving that trouble bubble around the backline, getting the first chunk from both spears and the paddle star has really slowed down any sort of onslaught in the mid lane by Crown.
Really rough stuff, and for now, Afreeca will go ahead and start inching forward with the gold. Still neck and neck across the board, though. As you can see, the CS, no one really having a clear lead anywhere outside of that top lane, which Ambition is now going to be paying another visit to. There's a control ward sitting in the brush. Seems like, yeah, there we go. I'll push forward.
He gets the call that the control ward's in the other brush. And again, Ambition just trying to buy space for CuVee, allowing CuVee to farm as safe as possible. He's reached 11 minutes into the game, has his teleport up, has his stopwatch up, better than expected for the Gangplank.
Another miss there. Kuro having a couple poor judgments with as far as his ranges are considered.
Still, all things considered, I think Kuro has certainly had a pretty good laning phase here.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't have the Comet. You have to wonder if some of those previous registrations, if Comet was involved, how much closer Crown would have been to his doom.
Almost gets slept yet again right there. But we'll have the space to just go ahead and clear out those remaining minions.
Everything will be okay. Let's scale up. Those are the sort of words I imagine will be reverberating in Korean, of course, around the comms of KSV. Losing the mid lane turret would be a disaster, and that's why I want to see Afreeca continue to cement their vision around the left and right side of mid lane from their perspective. The control wards are sticking for now, which means the Crown is more safety in the mid lane than Afreeca will be okay with. Clearing out the vision, stopping there being any control. Once again threatening a turret dive, getting the chunk onto Crown will be a return to the mid lane turret, will be a mid lane turret down, and Azir in a longer lane is nowhere near as potent.
Another sleep going through, looking for the hit. Ooh, barely misses. Likely would have been sending Crown down to half HP right there. Had that gotten the connection. His Ambition does find Spirit here. For the Scuttle Crab, but TusiN with a roam up. Yeah. Gusset blows, too much of a threat. Ambition has to let this go.
You asked the question. Seems pretty good so far by Afreeca. No gold lead, but Kleptomancy holding them in check there. What are they looking for in this game? What are the speeds they have to be hitting their power spikes? When do the turrets have to be going down? The answer is they need to find something soon. That something needs to be determined as TusiN's chased down.
TusiN a little bit there. They'll lock him up, but not going to get too much damage in. We'll be all right.
Getting Drakes rolling. Getting 3-4 Drakes and then saying, hey, want to face check an Elder Dragon? Here comes the Trouble Bubble. That's the way to win. Baron control, that's the way to win. Longer lanes, taking turrets, that's the way to win. But for now, just getting decent chunks, getting turrets low, but leaving standing gold on the Rift against an outscale team, that's not enough for the Afreeca Freecs.
Spear now roaming down to the bottom side, gonna find that control ward. Ruler trying to kite his way back. Phase call comes out. Glacial Fissure as well. Gets the pop up there on a CoreJJ. Concussive blows will lock him up. He's got the Grey Health Shield, but doesn't have the flash. Now trying to retreat back in underneath the turret. Ball Barrage comes through, and Kuro trying to get another assist there from the sidelines. Won't find it, but Spirit will find that first blood as CoreJJ goes down.
Nice spear accuracy on one of our long-time Nidalee mains. Should also mean bot lane turret either going down or falling very low. Nidalee's still there on the bot side. Ambition doing his best to relieve pressure wherever possible. This game is not that different to one of the early games against the side of Kingzone, where it was a similar start. Afreeca have drafted to get these sort of leads. Aren't able to crash the turret. Still feel good about first blood and get the gold generation rolling on the Nidalee. Almost certainly going to be Athene's the first pickup as another trouble bubble, well threaded.
Another slow up here. Minions fortunately there to block that battle star, so Crown for the most part will remain safe. can see just how oppressive the Zoe really can be, just how much of a nuisance she is.
You also see the play patterns, which is paddle star Q clearing the backline as you shoot out the trouble bomb. Very nicely threaded there by Kuro. Sort of thing where, you know, if the one adjustment was to the wave clear, suddenly you could see how the laning pressure would go down, because if you can't clear the backline, and you're not trouble bubbling anything. But as it stands, the natural combo for the Zoe, and very, very potent. Crown finally gets time to back and doesn't get punished with his turret going down, so does have his Nashors and Merc Treads. Last nerf that went live was the arm time getting a bit longer on the stun from the Trouble Bubble, which with Merc Treads gives you more time to hide behind some minions or terrain.
CuVee here barely holding on to this turret. Hasn't suffered that much as far as the CS is concerned, but Brick is on the horizon here for Afreeca in numerous lanes. All three of the outer turrets have been pretty heavily damaged.
Let's see if they can get there by 20 minutes. We've seen 13-minute outer ring of turrets going down. Lots of standing gold. They're looking for the turret dive here.
Not really close to transforming, but might not even need it. CuVee's just going to get jumped on, and he will fall. Kiin finds that kill. In the meantime, KSV do get the Ocean Drake, but trade it for that tower, so gold lead now going over to Afreeca, 2,500 up.
Spear accuracy from Spirit has been super good, and one of the people I wanted to talk about, I alluded to it in Champions League, is Spirit. And it's not just because he's in a carry jungler like Nidalee, it's just, if you think about the two performances from Afreeca against KT, Spirit was significantly better than Score on the day, and we found out he's the shot caller. From ahead, his shot calling was very good. It felt like in the late game, didn't matter that Marin was no longer there. They had great shot calling, and then he was second best against KSV. We saw Cuz, first Peanut, then Cuz, doing very capably against him. The shot calling seemed to really hurt them. So I think his own performance and his shot calling, because he's so new to the role, are very understandably going to be intertwined. So Spirit hitting those spears, getting the leads, is very important for Afreeca moving forward, because he's the man they're going to rely on as the game goes on.
Another objective going over to Afreeca. We saw Spirit soloing down that Rift Herald, picks that up. They can use that to break another one of these very weakened turrets. Pretty sure mid lane, just from the charge alone, would go down.
Or do you get greedy and try to take a secondary turret and really make a long lane for either Drakes or Barons to be a trivial objective? That's the mouth-watering question, the million-dollar question, you might say, for the Afreeca Freecs, who are in a good spot. 3 outer turrets down before 20 minutes, looking very, very likely if they just send a couple more members to the mid lane. Very early executioner's
that thing
calling.
would die.
Very early executioner's calling coming out from Ruler. Might surprise you, but expecting double lifesteal from Kramer, expecting, of course, the Nidalee heals onto Kramer, so want to decrease the efficiency of things like that.
Not the words for now. In the meantime, back over in the mid lane. For the play there on a Crown, but can't quite get the connection. Mission waiting in the wings. Should have an idea that Spirit is nearby, especially now that you see that Gangplank get used.
I mean, at the end of the day, Afreeca are playing their playbook very well, but it is the obvious playbook. It was very clear what they drafted for. So far, doing it very well. Mid lane turret not going down early is going to be a frustration, but as we can see, will be going down inevitably. His ambition might just die here.
He's getting chunked out. Right, rolling through. Battlestar not going to connect. Not far enough, but that will be the turret falling. Sand turret immediately pops up here, though, from Crown.
Gets charged.
Just to try to not have it happen to the tier 2 turret, so.
I mean, it's the right call, right? You're happy for the sand turret to get charged. It's going to time out
who cares?
Over time anyway, and it does, as you say, deny damage onto the inner turret that was looking very likely, also saves time. Doesn't require the full rotation from the team. Back to the slow and steady. 2 outer turrets down. 1 more in the bot lane we know is very, very low. Can Crown farm safely with Nidalee and also the Zoe after him is a question that we don't have the answer to just yet.
Given the amount of wards that are on that blue side jungle here of KSV, the answer might not be yes. You got one there in the wolf pit, as well as one just over the wall by the river. So members of Afreeca are pretty safe to go ahead and push to that side, try to get that flank position against the Azir. Crown's going to have to play very cautiously. He still does have the flash and the cleanse available.
see in games like this, Achilles, why the snowball of followers, of fans of KSV and previously Samsung Galaxy was slow. Because they play slow games. Samsung Galaxy, for the longest time, since Ambition joined the lineup, was let's farm until we're strong enough to win team fights. Let's play defensively. They were the shield compared to the sword of the 2016 Rocks Tigers. They were always the defensive team, a style that they've traded upon. That's why long laning phases with Ginsu Rageblade and Ardent Sensor suited them back at Worlds, even after a slow start. That's why they've been so effective, because their reliability in the late game rivals SK Telecom. You know, they are very, very strong in the late game, and this year may even be better after some of the struggles of SKT recently. So that reliability is what they trade upon. It makes them predictable. It doesn't make them always super great to watch in the early game, but you know you'll be impressed by something as the game goes on. For now, it's just going to be, what can we learn about defensive formation against a team that wins basically every 2v2 or 3v3 skirmish? Because that's all KSV can really do. Try to stave off the inevitable.
So far, gold lead hasn't stretched too much since the last time that we did check in. It's hovering right around 3,000 here, but no turrets taken for KSV. So that does set them behind a pretty considerable amount. Next Dragon getting ready to come up. Maybe a Cloud in about 45 seconds. Not sure how much attention we'll see paid to that early on.
For the 5v5, right now, with 2 items finished on Kramer, is probably the strongest Afreeca will get. Eventually, Nidalee, Spears won't really be doing too much. At 2 items on mid lane and bot lane, I think they are very, very powerful. What they do with that, though, is going to be interesting. Because at the end of the day, KSV are going to try to lose the minimum. It's their style. It's what they've drafted for. Kind of on Afreeca to make them fight. And not taking the Cloud Drake. Just the fact that it is a Cloud Drake and not an Infernal or a Mountain does mean more time for KSV to dodge a fight.
Ambition actually going in for the exchange there on the Spirit.
As the W to be able to get out.
Not going to get picked off. Abyssal Void just a bit too slow there for Ruler and CoreJJ to join in, as CoreJJ does get slapped over the wall. Spirit coming through. Cloud Drake has just now spawned. Crown just making sure that he can push up that mid lane wave.
Well, it's alone, but also is Ezreal with Summoners, so they give up on that one.
And an Iceborne Gauntlet.
Afreeca just delaying the Drake take is what they really want to do. Ambition could be turned on.
Oh yeah, he takes quite a bit of damage right there immediately. Oh, the Spear connecting in. Kuro looking for the hit, can't find it. Sleep does go through in on a Crown. That Battlestar just rips him apart down below half HP. CuVee in the meantime is fighting his way over. Neck and neck with Kiin.
A lot of resources have to be used just for members not to die. Should mean a free Drake for the side of Afreeca Freecs.
With the Ren stacks going through. Be a very impressive steal by Ruler to take this one out. He's not even going to go for it, so just wants to get in position to continue to defend this final outer turret.
I mean, teams have only gotten better at playing against the ultimates from Ezreal, the True Shot barrages. You remember back when mid lane Ezreal started, FLICKR wowed everyone, stealing every red and blue off cooldown. But now teams will bait it out, and in this case against Ren, there's no knowing what damage numbers you have to respect as
well. That's just going to be the stun into the wall with a Battlestar and a sleep, and that is a kill. Another one going over to Kiin, who's now 2-0-0, and starting to run away with a CS.
Definitely. And they kill the jungler, and it's 23 minutes. You think, yep, Baron time. The bot laning phase is still going. Kalista is still stuck in the bot side, so a cheeky pick onto Rengar doesn't actually mean anything for objectives. Another case of KSV not being happy about a death onto Rengar, but not necessarily ruining to necessarily have it affect the game in a massive way. We go back to Afreeca still in the lead right now to the tune of 4,000 gold, but it won't start actually hurting KSV until it turns into Infernal Drakes, Elder Dragons, or Barons.
Well, so far, 2 of those are quite far away, given that a Cloud Drake is going to be the next one up.
Massive gold lead.
And
3,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
So the entire gold lead, basically, is on Spirit, who's gone GP10, and also is the better part of 10 camps ahead of his opponent. Right now, they changed the coding, so it's 4 CS per camp, regardless of how many monsters there is on a camp. So a big lead, predictably, for Spirit.
Quite monstrous. Crown here, I mean, he's just been passively farming. He's been keeping ahead of Kuro here this entire time. But again, this is kind of like from Edge in our first series of the day. We need to see that massive play to help try to bring them back in. CoreJJ almost running straight into the paddle star.
I really like the lane assignment here from Afreeca. They realize that bot lane being down is, okay, this time it's Tahm Kench.
Spear will connect.
Sending Gnar against GP bot lane frees up Kramer to potentially turn onto Baron if they get a pick. Now Afreeca are online. Really like this from them. Getting the pick though, that's what they have to do next.
They've been trying. Spear going through the CoreJJ with a great health shield. Just means that he's going to be quite alright. Doesn't lose too much of his HP. CuVee has another turret that he might have inevitably lose here as he tries to defend this.
The mini game of the barrels here. Good job so far by Kiin.
The timing is pretty great on that Gnar so far. Crown Ambition are roaming their way up towards the top side. They know that Kuro is here. They're going to be waiting in the wings for now.
Two mid laners not used to side laning right now, tasked with that. Kuro has changed over to the teleport, ready to go for a map play if something opens up to him. Already level 16 on our mid laners. Feels like out of nowhere this game has extended because it's largely been pretty glacial pace for the first 26 minutes.
I mean, we're encroaching on a kill for 10 minutes.
Well, in a KSV game, you kind of have to celebrate the little things.
Take what you can get. Ambition clearing out the ward, so not going to have the jump there onto Kiin. Afreeca's vision control has been quite good so far throughout this game.
Definitely, and KSV's been pretty minimalist because they haven't been able to. You know, Rengar has been dictated to by Spirit. Good job on the battle warding by him. Gold lead only going to grow between Spirit and his opposite number. CuVee a level behind Kiin, but should be hitting level 16 soon. The moment that an inner turret goes down is the moment KSV will really panic. For now, at least, keeping the one outer turret they have left up healthy, keeping wards on the Baron, rinse and repeat. It's not beautiful to watch, honestly, from KSV. It's not the sort of thing that most people follow competitive League of Legends for. Is something to be impressed by, the fact that they very rarely are styled upon. They'll put themselves in position where another team will make a big mistake, and from there the game is over. They have confidence in the defense, and for now, not going to be completely taken out by Afreeca Freecs.
I mean, KSV's been exuding nothing but confidence, especially, you know, taking the Gangplank into the Gnar. They knew that this was going to be the matchup available to them, leaving something like the Zoe up.
Especially with the player matchup, right? It's like, hey, Kiin, you're a carry top laner. We're taking GP. What you going to do? You know, there is definitely a degree of craziness there.
The Phantom Dancer third item by Kiin there as CuVee goes on the aggressive Ambition coming in. He uses the hop. He still has the flash available.
So fast.
And he is zipping his way along. Ambition is trying to catch him. Barrage comes down, flashes into the brush, misses the bullet shot though, and Kiin is getting ready to transform. Might be able to turn this around, but there's actually nobody else around. In the meantime, mid lane, as you say, CoreJJ getting jumped on, manages to stay alive and exit with his life. The concussive blows couldn't quite get procced. In the meantime, Ruler jumping in, looking for the hit there onto Spirit. Two-shot Barrage was thinking that perhaps he would go to the side. Couldn't quite find him there.
I don't know if he mistimed the Zonias or forgotten that he flashed already. He tried to predict something, and in the end, went hopelessly wide, so not the best look for Ruler. Down the bot side, Kiin was so fast that they had to invest the Gangplank ultimate just to try to close him down, and then spell misses from Ambition, no kill picked up. A lot of nothing in the end after action looked like it would ratchet up a lot.
Yeah, action pretty much everywhere. Okay, still just trying to hold on. Its auto attack speed is absolutely insane with this Phantom Dancer. Gonna get the transformation. He'll finish off this final outer turret, and there's just not much that CuVee can do other than watch.
And it's a purely laning build, but also if you manage the rage bar, you're resisting the Mega Gnar and the Gnar ultimate. I mean that your job is done, so it was CuVee who showed us the rapid fire cannon Gnar. That was his debut. He would go very, very heavy on damage, would just basically build full damage after the Frozen Mallet and the Black Cleaver. That was his style.
We've also seen Blade of the Ruin King from time to time.
Makuro Scimitar. He liked his damage on the Gnar, that's for sure. And if you hit every Gnar ultimate, doesn't matter how tanky you are, you won the fight anyway. But when it comes to pure laning, which he wants to deal with here, he knows CuVee wants to spend as much time as possible in a side lane. He's going further into damage, because there is the Blade of the Ruin King coming. He's saying, I want to kill you in a side lane.
Well, he might just get his wish.
Well, he's got 2 types of slows here, so basically he has infinite chase and insane amount of damage. Blade of Ruin King's one of the few items that works very, very well against the Sterix Gauge and the usual slipperiness of a Gangplank. Puts a timer on the side lane a little bit for KSV, just through an item choice. When will KSV make their first proactive move? They've never make any. They will probably lose this game, so...
Yeah, gotta do something eventually. Ruler is building up. He's got a considerable CS lead compared to Kramer as he continues to stack those items up. See, he's already to 5 at the 30-minute mark, which is pretty impressive.
What about attack speed now? This looks so comical.
I mean, this looks tilt-worthy because I would hate to lane against this. The Hyperprocs just constantly rolling through, chunking you down. It sounds terrible.
All right. Baron control enacted.
I don't know if there's enough wards in there.
Do have the Rift Scuttler for a bit of health as Crown gets chunked out.
Can't pop the concussive blows, though, so not going to get locked in place.
Only Rengar to face check, but Tahm Kench also to allow other people to get in on the Vision War. And CuVee just hangs back. He stands next to turrets. He tries to clear with barrels. His job is to not lose turret, but you know we're really complimenting KSV for losing the minimum. At some point, you have to turn it on. The vision will start to go. The spot vision is not there. The blue trinkets are on cooldown. There are windows here for Afreeca Freecs to take the Baron, and then KSV's comp kind of falls apart.
Yeah. This has been rough, and I mean, KSV, they just haven't been presented with an opportunity, even a force an opportunity, to try to take a lead here over Afreeca.
1.7 attack speed now.
That's disgusting.
It is. Last time I saw this was W Max Blade of the Ruin King Gnar against Mundo. That was the pocket counterpick to Dr. Mundo many moons ago.
He almost has as much as Kramer.
Yep.
He's got the Hurricane and the Blade of the Ruin King.
And CuVee's like, screw this, I'm leaving.
I wonder how much gold Kiin's gotten just from the barrels.
It's adding up.
It's got to be probably a couple hundred.
Yeah, it's adding up. Absolutely 10 gold per barrel. Kiin, level 18. So many people super powered on both sides. Death cap is complete for the Azir. He's certainly not weak.
Yeah, and for Kuro, I mean, all-star hits are going to really hurt, unlike that True Shot Barrage, which barely scraped off the shielding from Kramer.
CuVee keeps delaying. Afreeca keep returning to the Baron. Only TusiN can tank the Baron quickly with Gnar in the bot side, so...
Oh my god.
That's damage.
Ruler, yeah, just getting ripped apart. He's got a Blade of the Ruin King, but that's not going to
nope.
get you too much lifesteal.
Nope.
I would just leave.
I mean, if he leaves, if he was seen recalling, and they start something as they leap onto TusiN to at least make him consider using an ability.
Choke. Oh! Yeah, they're trying to go ahead and pop him down. Ambition going low. Let's get slept. Still has the Guardian Angel available. In the meantime, Kiin's just going ham in the bottom lane. Tries to get the wall up there onto CuVee, but he flashes away.
Meanwhile,
there's not the minion wave, but yeah, that's going to be the startup here onto the Baron.
Not as secure here. I think KSV have already decided to give it up.
Yeah, it looks like it. No one walking their way over there. They don't have the GP ult to throw on top of it for the random Hail Mary steal, and that's just going to be Afreeca picking up the Baron. And like you said, this is when everything really starts falling apart for KSV.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race is the KSV mantra, but Afreeca were able to tweak it and make it work for them. Really like how they engineered this Baron, chunking out multiple members of KSV, all from one passage of play where they hit the Trouble Bubble and Paddle Star onto the Ezreal. KSV didn't give up everything by contesting the Baron, but they did give up the Purple Worm. They do give up a big buff, and now it's a poke comp with Baron, one of the most fearsome poke comps of all, because it's Zoe on patch 8.1.
It's a disgusting amount of damage, and she's only adding more, perhaps getting ready to see something like a Void Staff come through.
And is it desperation now, cuz? That's the question is, does KSV say, well, we're going to get poked out, let's try an initiation, this is our time, or do they still continue to play passive? I think the time for passivity may be gone, as no red buff for you.
Yep, not going to get that. Gets a couple hits in on the Spirit, but the heal immediately just goes ahead and undoes all of the damage, undoes the damage.
I wonder what that BF sword's turning into. From the Gnar.
Screw it, let's just go for an Infinity Edge.
I mean, he has a crit modifier, so... Could be. Mercurial Scimitar in that slot usually is what we see, but once the BF sword comes out, anything is possible.
Either way, I'm intrigued to say the least, but Afreeca, they are turning up the heat, forcing out objectives here as they just go ahead and storm right through that inner turret.
Playing around their vision so well as well. They have complete control of the enemy red side jungle, so once again KSV surrenders an objective, but they've kind of surrendered everything, Achilles. They've surrendered the 7,000 gold lead.
Oh, looking for the sun there onto Ambition. He's going to flash away, still gets locked up, so has the GA. Spear connects there into CuVee. Ambition getting chunked out. A Paddle Star just weaved right through the minions. Nearly takes him out.
Kuro's been on form on this Zoe.
Clearly has been putting in the hours in solo queue and in scrims. Can't quite get the finishing blow, but it's really chunking people out and forcing them to have to back away from the objectives, which allows Afreeca to just storm right through. They're getting ready to approach a 10,000 gold lead over KSV.
Very well earned. We can no longer give KSV credit. They keep surrendering. They have shown no proactivity at all. Every easy objective is gone as the max range trouble bubble does actually register onto KSV. KSV have taken everything except the base. This is not what KSV drafted for. You can lose the minimum, but they've lost everything save their base.
And in such a relatively bloodless way, just the 3-0 here for Afreeca, but KSV, they haven't put themselves into a position to even try to get kills. Afreeca's just been able to run away with everything. 25 seconds remaining on the Baron, not going to get anything further, but it's just the inhibitor turret standing. KSV have none.
Going on my head. There really is no more to it than that. The people at home have seen this couple in front of us, and there's been little to no response the entire time. Only a Drake as an objective to the side of KSV. We're looking on perfect game territory from Afreeca Freecs. Save that Drake. Speaking of Drakes, the Elder Dragon, also free.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Ocean Drake that KSV got at the beginning of the game, then this is pretty much looking perfect for Afreeca, which is absolutely insane. I mean, this is the team that always got the perfect games, but then would lose the series. But what a hell of a start here for this best of 3.
And it also warps a lot of the thoughts about KSV because the "this is fine" dog, you know, house on fire, this is fine, is how KSV have played for years. For years they have played this defensive style where objectives will go down and they will wait their moment. But we're 38 minutes in, you know, we can't blink much longer before there's nothing to defend, there's no fight to take. Gnar may have pulled out a 94-minute miracle, but that was a once-off. This KSV has to find a way to use the tools they have. Very strong team fight damage. But if there's a true 5v5 and we get a free-hitting Azir, we don't need any more evidence. We know what that can do. But Afreeca are happy to play multiple lanes. They pick so well even over walls with the Zoe. The Zoe seems to be the extra oomph that KSV can't respect.
Well, looking for the pick there on a CoreJJ, chunks him down to half HP. Still have the shield. The True Shot Barrage going to go wide there for Ruler as he tries to clear out these wards. He's going to get hit up there, slept, but no follow-up from Kuro. CoreJJ coming back in. Abyssal Voyage just from the fountain to rejoin quickly, ensure the safety of his teammates.
If KSV look out of ideas, they still have to deal with this Gangplank versus Gnar. There's no fun short of wave clear. Afreeca moves up. Seeing that top lane matchup, it's okay for now, but no better.
Oh.
Huge chunk onto Ambition.
It's just ridiculous.
Oh!
Oh my god, Ruler! Almost 100-0'd from one Paddle Star. Run to the fountain, please. Just get in there.
You see
Never
stuff
leave.
like this and you don't understand why Korean teams have looked past the Zoe, available so many times, fallen through jars. Push through mid lane now.
The knock down this turret. Another big chunk straight in onto Ruler immediately as he comes back from the fountain, sends him packing. Turret already weakened, nearly down to about half HP. Kuro jumps forward, pops CuVee this time. Takes it out, but not without taking some damage himself.
Kuro completely goes through everyone on the lineup of KSV. There are no tanks against a Zoe, especially when there is a gold lead observed like this. The true damage burn as well pushes her completely over the edge. One of those hits again with the sorcery Elixir with everything adding up, 651 AP. An item evolves short of 6 items. People getting popped from full health, Gilios.
We've already seen it there. On the ruler. And onto the blue buff. He goes ahead and just takes a couple hits to take it down.
The only thing he's missing is a Lich Bane to actually be able to train down the turrets.
Yeah, good God.
When he pops forward with his ultimate.
I mentioned the amount of Baron damage that he'd be getting.
Will not be going for Lich Bane as his items are currently assorted, but could also change the build if the game goes longer. We're already past the 40-minute mark. Been so uneventful. 3 kills, 3 Drakes, an Elder, no more so far in this game.
It's been a long game with little kills, but I honestly don't feel bored at this because of how cleanly Afreeca have been playing this and rotating around the map.
Because it feels like you have the spoiler that says that KSV wins eventually, and you're waiting for that moment where things change. But Afreeca keep playing the correct game. They keep pushing and getting the most, even if they're not opening themselves up for any sort of counterplay from KSV. So if anything, it's both sides showing aggression and defense equally well as, all right, maybe this is the first mistake.
Kiin trying to get jumped on, but he's just turning it around, almost killing Ruler, who's going to jump forward. Does get the kill, the first one available there for KSV, but now the Baron has been started up, and it is getting annihilated. Oh, Shot Barrage comes through, not going to find it. Rend a little bit questionable there from Kramer, but gets it in the end. So Baron over to Afreeca yet again. KSV, though, without the Gnar to oppose them, to stand in front of the Afreeca Freecs, they are able to push forward, and they finally take their first turn of the game, nearly 42 minutes in.
And they had to use Flash Heal onto the Ezreal just to pick up the pick they got. The smite was early. The Rend ended up being at 100 health.
Ah, yes, it was a Bloodthirster.
Interesting.
That he bought.
The value of that Executioner's Calling bought earlier was clearly sky high for Ruler, so nice little pickup for him. Has delayed his damage a bit, but he also has hit 6 items. And Crown is the only one short of 6 items when it comes to the carries in this game. So we really are pushing there. Kuro and Crown will finish their items. We will have a 6-item fight. That's kind of the only thing a KSV can say is they still feel decent about that in the base. But if you keep splitting them across, it's not going to work as another Trouble Bubble hits.
And connects in onto CoreJJ. Ruler jumping forward. Don't do that, lad. That would be a big mistake. In the meantime, mid lane will get knocked down. Inhibitor exposed here. As Afreeca do go ahead and peel back. Sand turret comes up for Crown. Trying to keep them alive. Gets the Sleepy Trouble Bubble in onto the Ezreal. The Devourer there from CoreJJ does keep him safe, and he gets a bit of damage in onto Kuro with that True Shot Barrage.
Yeah, Kuro's out of the fight for now. Will have to back away. Could swap over to teleport, but doesn't want to give up his flash. So for now, sticking around, trying to stay out of threat range. Means the Trouble Bubble is going to be a little bit more defensive.
It's a long-range cannon. Just continue firing artillery. Jumps straight into that one. Ruler taking the spear on the chin.
If you're going to take a line skill shot, that's the preferable one.
I mean, want to shorten the damage.
He would have been dead.
The damage there. Yeah, that would have killed him for sure, but doesn't have it. The Devourers from CoreJJ on point. As per usual, CoreJJ just having to body block. He just has to stand in front of Ruler this entire time to try to keep him in the fight.
The inhibitor's gone. The second inhibitor turret is an auto attack from Spirit away from going down as well. Still, KSV have not engineered a way to force something. Insanity here. Very reminiscent of SK Telecom versus Gnar Game 3, where so much one-sided play has happened. We're waiting to give the big W to Afreeca Freecs, and yet we're still not sure. We second-guess ourselves because of the teams playing. We second-guess ourselves because of the item timings. How many late-game Azirs have to drag a team over the line before we end up giving the victory to a team too early? But Kuro alone is basically cementing the lead here for KSV. His Zoe is the difference between the two teams.
Now pushing in, looking for this top turret. They still have 30 seconds left on the Baron buff. They're chunking out the turret. Oh, Battlestar nearly connects in onto Kramer. They can't quite find it. In the meantime, Envision hunting
now
from the back. He's going to jump in, looking for Spirit. He gets targeted out and has to just go running for the hills. And Barrage not going to do much, and Kuro jumps in with a portal jump. Manages to get the pop there onto the Guardian Angel a little bit too early on the Battlestar to get the execution. The Devourer might have just kept Ambition alive. Looks like it will. Block there from the Unbreakable in onto the Ezreal ultimate, so Ruler not going to be able to clear out the wave. And in the meantime, in the bottom lane, CuVee, he is getting run down by Kiin, who's just charging it underneath the turrets.
They're going to have to give up all 3 inhibitors. I think this is going to be basically all but the game over for KSV. They're going to, you have to imagine, suffer their first game defeat of the season. We always have to catch ourselves in this meta with comically long games. But Afreeca have done basically nothing wrong this game. They take the red buff, they back over, they can go for a shopping trip before the Elder Dragon, and KSV have a shambles of a base and no more to show for 45 minutes on the Rift.
Absolutely insane. 1 objective each, other than Baron, is what we're looking at here for KSV, and it might not get any better than that.
Comical amount of AP and all these members. 666, that's an ominous number.
It's just ridiculous.
On to Nidalee.
Spirit is the harbinger here.
Well, actually, it's the Zoe, let's be real. But I mean, the 2 of them together, certainly harbingers.
The combo is just absurd.
Just build magic resist, it'll be fine.
Perfect. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, come on, Ruler. If you just built a Hex Drinker, maybe you'll survive.
We have a new type of fountain laser. It's not Teddy, but Kiin doesn't have boots now. He has the most lifesteal. Just runs at the Gangplank, and Gangplank can't do anything.
This is ridiculous.
He's going to push up a minion wave. There's such a narrow amount of time for KSV to try something, and initiation's not their strong suit. We already saw Ambition try to run in. It didn't work.
See another Battle Star there on the ground as he barely dodges that and the spear, but that's going to be one connecting. And he is going to be back over to the fountain. It's called he is a fountain laser because it sends you to the fountain.
That's true.
But this could be it, the final push. Multiple super creeps coming in. Battlestar not going to connect. Minions are already starting to do some work, and this opens up for Kramer to get some auto attacks in. First turret going to go down in a barrage, not really doing a damn thing here for KSV as they try to hold on. Ambition getting locked up. One more hit, perhaps from Kiin can take him down. To Devour that is there to save his life, but now the Nexus is exposed. Sand turret not going to be helping out a whole lot as Ruler has to kite back into the fountain, and that is going to be game 1. I will say, even with an Azir still alive, going over to Afreeca Freecs, who engineered a beautiful composition, and they executed it even better.
You're close to perfection from the Afreeca Freecs. Before this is, you ask, how do you beat KSV? Afreeca redefined the meta. They go for the Zoe and the Nidalee for the double poke duo. That's the thing that stopped the stalls happening from the side of Samsung Galaxy, because the sheer damage from range, the non-committal Paddle Star and Nidalee Spear chunked out KSV, and they could never truly defend the objectives they wanted to, and then it was freebie after freebie after freebie until there were multiple Barons, an Elder Dragon, a 10,000 gold plus lead, and there were members of Samsung or of KSV who did not die in this game, but that wasn't consequential. They never had to be the 5v5 fight that KSV drafted for, because Afreeca were on point with their macro. They took the maximum. They were not respectful of KSV, and it's a well-deserving Game 1 victory.
Yeah, barely ever enough to kill, but always enough to force them back. Absolutely insane by the Afreeca Freecs. I think they probably just broke duo queue for the next forever until we see some nerves go through onto Zoe, but I mean, the pressure is on for KSV. This is the first game that they have lost so far in the 2018 spring split, and you can see the look of disappointment on several of these players' faces.
They look beleaguered. So often defense worked for them, turtling has worked for them. Zoe cares not for turtles. Zoe greater than turtles, Zoe greater than KSV.
Thank you for that equation. Beautifully put, but man, what a Game 1. Game 2, I can only hope, is even crazier. We'll find out when we come back for the break, so don't go anywhere, guys. We might see KSV lose their first match of the 2018 season.